A thunderstorm of steel the German army's ascent. The German army, or Wehrmacht, entered World War II a seemingly unstoppable force. Forged in the fires of defeat after World War I, this new army was lean, modern, and driven by a thirst for redemption. The Treaty of Versailles, meant to cripple Germany's military capacity, inadvertently fostered a spirit of innovation and a burning desire for revenge. Germany, prohibited from maintaining a large standing army, invested heavily in training and technology. This resulted in a highly professional officer corps and the development of groundbreaking military doctrines. The Wehrmacht embraced the concept of blitzkrieg, or lightning war. This strategy relied on speed, surprise, and overwhelming force to cripple the enemy before they could react. Early victories seemed to confirm the Wehrmacht's invincibility. The invasion of Poland in 1939 showcased the devastating effectiveness of blitzkrieg. Panzer divisions, spearheaded by tanks like the Panzer IV, tore through enemy lines. The Luftwaffe, Germany's air force, ruled the skies, decimating enemy defenses and sowing chaos in their wake. The Wehrmacht appeared poised to dominate the battlefields of Europe. Their tactics were revolutionary. Their equipment was cutting-edge. The world watched with a mixture of awe and terror as the German war machine rolled on. Blitzkrieg unleashed, conquering Poland and France. The German army's early campaigns were a testament to the shocking effectiveness of blitzkrieg. The invasion of Poland in 1939 served as a brutal coming-out party for this new form of warfare. The Wehrmacht's combination of armored thrusts, mechanized infantry, and close air support overwhelmed Polish defenses. The campaign lasted a mere 6 weeks. France, considered Europe's premier military power, fell victim to the blitzkrieg in 1940. The Wehrmacht bypassed the formidable Maginot Line, a series of fortifications along the French-German border. German forces instead struck through the Ardennes forest, a region deemed impassable by the French. The speed and ferocity of the German advance stunned the Allies. French and British forces were outmaneuvered and outgunned. Within 6 weeks, France was forced to surrender. The Wehrmacht seemed unstoppable. Their string of victories fueled a dangerous myth of invincibility. The Wehrmacht's stunning success in the West was not solely due to superior tactics or technology. The Allies made critical errors in strategy and deployment. However, the German army's ability to exploit these mistakes and maintain the momentum of their offensive spoke volumes about their training and leadership. The world held its breath. Where would the Wehrmacht strike next? A fateful gamble, Operation Barbarossa and the Eastern Front. Emboldened by their conquests in the West, Hitler and his generals turned their attention eastward. Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union, commenced in June 1941. It was a colossal gamble, a decision that would ultimately seal the fate of the German army and the Third Reich. The initial stages of Barbarossa mirrored the triumphs of Poland and France. The Wehrmacht unleashed a three-pronged assault, aiming to capture Leningrad in the north, Moscow in the center, and the resource-rich Ukraine in the south. Soviet forces, caught off guard despite numerous warnings, were routed in the opening months. The sheer scale of the Eastern Front, however, presented challenges the Wehrmacht had never before encountered. The vast distances, brutal weather conditions, and the resilience of the Red Army began to take their toll. As the campaign dragged on, the initial momentum of Barbarossa began to falter. The German army, designed for rapid, decisive campaigns, found itself bogged down in a war of attrition. The Red Army, bolstered by reserves and a fierce determination to defend their homeland, mounted increasingly stubborn resistance. The tide was beginning to turn against the Wehrmacht. Section 4, The Tide Turns: Stalingrad and the Long Retreat. The Battle of Stalingrad, raging from August 1942 to February 1943, became a turning point in World War II and the beginning of the end for the German army. The city, reduced to rubble by relentless bombing, became a symbol of Soviet resistance and the folly of Hitler's ambition. The battle devolved into a brutal, house-to-house struggle. German troops, exhausted and undersupplied, faced wave after wave of Red Army attacks. The bitter cold of the Russian winter added to the misery. For the first time, the aura of invincibility surrounding the Wehrmacht shattered. The German defeat at Stalingrad was a disaster of epic proportions. An entire army, over 250,000 men, was lost. The psychological impact of the defeat was profound. The myth of German invincibility was shattered. From that point onward, the Wehrmacht was in retreat on the Eastern Front. The Red Army, fueled by vengeance and growing in strength, relentlessly pushed the Germans westward. The Wehrmacht, once considered the world's most formidable fighting force, was now locked in a desperate struggle for survival. Section 5. Masterminds and Marionettes. The leadership of the German Army. The German Army of World War II produced a number of brilliant military minds. These leaders, however, were often hampered by Hitler's meddling and the inherent flaws in the Nazi regime. The successes of the early war years masked dangerous underlying tensions. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, earned international acclaim for his audacious tactics in North Africa. General Erich von Manstein, a master strategist, orchestrated the stunning victory over France in 1940. These men and others demonstrated remarkable tactical and operational skill. However, the German High Command was not a unified entity. Rivalries between branches of the military, particularly between the Army and the Waffen-SS, often hindered strategic decision-making. Moreover, Hitler's increasing paranoia and his insistence on directing military operations from his headquarters created chaos and confusion. As the war progressed, Hitler's influence over the military grew. He often overruled the advice of his most experienced generals, leading to disastrous consequences. The German army, despite its early triumphs, was ultimately a tool in the hands of a dictator. Section 6. Cracks in the facade, logistical nightmares and mounting resistance. The German army's early victories masked significant logistical weaknesses. The Wehrmacht's reliance on horses for transport, a lack of standardized equipment, and an overstretched supply chain became increasingly problematic as the war dragged on. The vast distances of the Eastern Front exposed the fragility of the German logistical system. The Red Army's scorched earth policy, destroying infrastructure and resources as they retreated, further hampered the Wehrmacht's ability to sustain its advance. Moreover, the German army faced growing resistance in occupied territories. Partisan groups, fueled by hatred of Nazi ideology and brutality, launched sabotage operations and disrupted German supply lines. This resistance, while often overlooked in traditional accounts of the war, played a significant role in undermining the German war effort. The German army, despite its initial appearance as a well-oiled machine, was plagued by internal and external pressures. The seeds of defeat were sown in the very nature of the Nazi regime and the logistical realities of waging war on multiple fronts.